And I think that's the hugest thing. You got to be so financially smart in this game. It's like crazy. I mean, everything is not hundreds of dollars. It's thousands of dollars at a time, you know. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to do it and see how it works out. If it doesn't work out, you're kind of stuck. Because you're in a contract too, you know. So there's just so much to think about when you're doing it. But I knew that it was going to be a good fit for me and what I'm looking for and how I'm starting. It's definitely not my end place. It's my start place. So
I'm Amanda Leitner, and welcome to Rochester Rising, where we amplify the stories of Rochester entrepreneurs. Welcome to episode 197 of the podcast today. So today on the show, I got to sit down with Jenyce Habibovic, the owner of Sweet House Bakery. This was a real treat in several different ways. It was the first podcast I've done in person since March, so it was great to have Jenyce come down to the Collider space and chat. And she also brought a box of goodies from Sweet House Bakery, so we all got to enjoy them a few weeks ago, and it was delicious. So we have a great podcast in store for you today as we chat with Jenyce about growing up in Stewartville in her grandparents' restaurant, how she turned baking from a hobby into a business, and how she's currently scaling her business, Sweet House Bakery, which she opened a brick and mortar location this June within Pasquale's Express on 2nd Street. So join us on the podcast today as we talk more about the bakery and what you can expect from a visit to Sweet House, including their cinnamon rolls, caramel rolls, and a new to Rochester French pastry called a Queenaman, which I believe this is what I tried and it is excellent, something like you've never tasted before. So check it out and tune in for a great podcast with Jenyce today as we talk a lot about her journey as an entrepreneur, the risks she took and how she thought about them, and resources she found in the community to help her grow her business. So tune in today, learn more about Jenyce and Sweet House Bakery. So as a reminder, Rochester Rising is the storytelling arm of Collider, which is a 501c3 based nonprofit in Rochester that supports early stage entrepreneurs. You can learn more about Collider at collider.mn. You can also find out more about Rochester Rising and stories amplifying our Rochester-based entrepreneurs on our website at rochesterrising.org, and you can find our podcast, Rochester Rising, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we have our own YouTube playlist on the Rochester Rising YouTube channel. So if that's how you like to listen into podcasts, tune in. We have a new podcast talking with a Rochester entrepreneur every Wednesday. And we also live stream, or not live stream, we premiere the Rochester Rising podcast on our YouTube at noon every Wednesday. So you can tune in, sit back, relax, enjoy your lunch, and listen in to learn more about entrepreneurs and small business owners in Rochester, Minnesota. So thanks for tuning in today, and now we'll head straight to the podcast with Jenyce and Sweet House Bakery. Thanks for doing this today. I appreciate your time.
yes, absolutely.
On the first day of October, which is my favorite month of the year.
Yeah, it actually happens to be my son turns 9 today, so we're going to go home and celebrate his birthday.
Exciting.
Yeah,
that is so exciting. So what kind of, did you make his cake, first of all, and what is,
not
okay.
yet. So today he wants his ice cream cake, because him and I know, we love the Dairy Queen cake, so that's what we do for our birthdays. But this weekend we're having a birthday party for him, and he wants an Xbox controller cake, so then he'll get his big cake on Saturday.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, I have to say, my birthday's in October too, and I kind of want an ice cream cake too, but it's just one of those things. It's like...
Yeah, well, they close in October, I think, so you got to get it while you can.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
There really isn't, there isn't a walk-in one here.
No.
So maybe,
I guess Cold Stone, maybe.
I know another bakery in town, so that's
there you
go. So I wanted to start asking you, just tell everyone a little about yourself, where you're from, that kind of, basic stuff.
I am born in Rochester, born and raised in Stewartville. I grew up in a small town outside of Rochester. graduated in '07. I grew up and my grandparents owned restaurants, so we were always in the restaurant business. My grandma baked cakes on the side, so I've always watched her, and she made us cool like Barbie cakes, and she made train cakes, and she did wedding cakes for people and stuff, so it always intrigued me. And I've always loved art and creativity growing up, and so then after I graduated, I did a little baking on the side. I met my husband also in high school. I should say that. I was 16 when we met, so he's been through this long journey with me for a long time. But yeah, we moved to Rochester after I turned 19, started cooking and working, and then we had our first baby, who turned 9 today, and we got married, and we have 2 more kids, and we're still in Rochester and still baking.
I love that. So your history with baking really sounded like it started with family.
For sure, yeah.
With watching that and learning. So can you talk through, like, you started baking, I'm assuming just because you loved it.
Yep.
Then what thought process went through your head, or what was kind of the progression from, okay, I'm doing this because I like it, to now I can actually make some money off this? How did that happen?
Sure. So it started when my son turned 1. I did his first birthday cake, and now when I look back at it, it was completely terrible, and whoever told me it was good at the time was a complete lie. But from there on out, that was my first like cake I've done. Otherwise, I always did like, cookies and cupcakes and holiday things like that. But I started with cakes probably 9 years ago with his, and then it was fun to me. I was like, I'm going to try to, if I can get more and more creative. So then I would try to offer friends kids cakes or whatever, just little cakes I can do for people for fun, for practice. And then I started getting good. And then I'd have parents from my kids' parties be like, oh, can you make my kid a cake, and so on. And during this time also, when my son turned 1, I was working at Mayo Clinic overnights. I quit and I started doing daycare. So I did daycare for 7 years at home, so I always had my daycare kids, and so I was always practicing making cakes for them and doing kind of fun cupcake themes and stuff. And then my family and friends actually pushed me and said, you need to start charging for these things, because I wouldn't charge for them, I would just do them for fun. And so then I kind of made it public, and I got my cottage food license, and I didn't think I would get too busy, but I got really busy enough to quit daycare, and then I baked full-time from home, and then I got way too busy in that year too, where I had to expand, and now we're here. So, but it all started from my son's cake when we were younger, and then when he was younger, about 9 years ago. But then about 2 years ago is when I kind of got into the pastries, when people wanted things on the side of their cakes with macaroons or some other fun things. So that's kind of got my ball rolling with those.
Well, so I've been told, I don't have any kids, but I've been told kids are the best kind of customer feedback, because they don't feel bad for hurting your feelings.
They 100% do not. They are the most honest people. It is. So when a kid tells me they like it, I honestly get more excited than when an adult tells me, because I know it's true then. Because if they don't, they'll spit it right out in front of you.
Yeah. We were teaching a class, and someone had made an app for they have a business around an app for to reduce dental anxiety with kids.
Yeah.
Which, is a thing. It's a big thing.
Real
and
thing, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he told me, because I was like, how do you get good feedback from kids? He's like, oh, they'll let you know.
Yeah, they don't like.
He's like, they told me they hated it. Mm-hmm. And then they had to make their mascot, whatever, modify it for the kids. But yeah, so.
That's funny.
Yeah, you'll get honest feedback.
For sure.
So I wanted to walk back a little bit to, Sweet House Bakery, you're kind of in the idea stage. When you were in the idea stage, growing it out, so what resources did you find helpful in the community? And can you talk a little bit, too, about cottage food and how that works for people who might not be familiar with that?
Sure. So, cottage food was... Honestly, I didn't know anything about the rules and stuff from baking at home. So when I was doing baking on social media and taking orders, I had a fellow baker here in town who sent me a message saying, hey, you better be careful because you actually need a license for these things. And she sent me the links I needed to with the health department downtown to call. So I'm so happy she did and thankful she did, because I needed to know that. And so the cottage food license at home allows you to bake a minimum of, depending on what license you get, of sales at home. But a lot of things, you're very limited because you can't use like meat products. It has to be stuff with shelf life. So like cream cheese, you almost can't even use, you know. So it kind of limited you a lot on what you can do at home, but you're still able to bake from home if you wanted to on the side and sell to the public. So, but yeah, so that I actually got reached out from other people in town here trying to show me, because one, I didn't know. I had an idea, but I didn't know if I was at that point yet or not. And when you get to that point, I'm not sure. I would recommend, if it's something you're thinking about, is doing something on the side where you're going to be making regular orders, maybe just monthly, even just a couple, to look into it, because you could get in trouble if you're not licensed properly. But it's just the downtown Rochester Health Department that you contact, and they give you, they transfer you to the cottage food licensor, and you fill out a form. It's really easy.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I've heard it's pretty simple, and you
It's
just have to
very simple.
take classes, which is good to know
so
anyway if you're
it's just
feeding.
an online class,
Yeah.
and then you take a quiz at the end that takes about 5 minutes. I think the license is about $50. So, but yeah, it's super easy, super simple, and totally worth it. So.
Does someone come out and inspect your kitchen?
No.
No, okay, they don't.
No, they don't.
Okay.
So there's no inspector, and that's why they say, none of the refrigerated items. So it can be shelf life things only. Because if you were to have that, then you'd have to get a commercial kitchen, which you can be. It's allowed. I've actually looked into it. Depending on what zoning area you are in Rochester, you can commercialize your kitchen. And if you were to commercialize your kitchen, then you would have to have the full health inspector to come out and obviously check on your home and what you're doing and that kind of stuff. But I didn't have, I wanted to separate my business from home. It's more what I wanted to do with the 3 kids. And we got dogs at home. We got a big Great Dane. He's a big old baby. And I think my husband really wanted, to separate. Keep the mess somewhere else and keep work for work and home at home. And it's been great.
Yeah, that's probably really good for mental balance,
For
too.
sure.
And
Yeah, I've been home, like I said, with my kids for the last 9 years, so it was a big change to be gone. And I'm still at home around 11:30, 12 every day, so I'm not even gone all day to them. But it has been a big adjustment, but it's totally worth separating the two and de-stressing it in. It's great.
Yeah, and it sounds like kind of just hearing from other bakers in the area was really helpful during that time where you were kind of growing.
Yeah.
Which, it's great that we have a supportive community like that.
For sure. Yeah, our community is so great. It really is. And I used to think, we talked earlier about, there's a lot of franchise here in Rochester that people obviously go to and stuff, but being in a small business now, especially during COVID, the nicest, kindest people and the customers in the community who have said, we'll be here for you, and just leave generous tips, or constantly supporting because they want to keep small businesses open, because I've seen already too many close. And I think it's kind of coming to reality now that we are important here in the community, the small businesses. So
Yeah.
it's great. I love it.
We need some vibrancy, some diversity.
Yes,
Everyone
all of
doesn't
it.
want a chain.
Exactly. Yep.
So you went from kind of selling your baked goods from your home, and then people can find it in a lot of different small businesses around town too, as well,
Yeah.
right? So that sounds like maybe that was the next step. So how do you go from selling from kind of to customers to getting into kind of storefronts? What did that kind of look like?
Actually, it's just word of mouth. I've always, even when I worked from home and did my cottage food license at home, I would always do big cupcake sales and stuff, and then I would always put together at least 15 boxes a month, and I would deliver to other small businesses in Rochester, just to say thank you, whatever. And so a lot of people already kind of reached out to me when they knew I was going into a commercial kitchen, because I've had other offers where people want me to sell to them, but I couldn't because I didn't have the right license. So it kind of worked out good in that field. But otherwise, I'm in the Steams in Lumen right now, and actually Steams came by Oscar. He's a downtown guy that is awesome, and he's just word of mouth. I mean, he's just going around telling them how awesome I am and set it up for me to go down and sample them. And so we did that, and it worked out great. I didn't reach out to any of the companies, so it's worked out good for me, but I definitely know I'm going to have to, eventually and soon, and I'm all for it. And just go out and give them your best product and
Man, word of mouth
make
is
it
so
work.
powerful.
It is.
If
It's so powerful.
If you're putting out a good product, it talks for itself, speaks
sure.
for itself.
Yeah, it really does. It's pretty incredible. I didn't expect to open in June and be as insanely busy as I am and be in so many companies right now that I'm in 4 months. So I'm very thankful.
That is awesome. So yeah, I wanted to talk about that. So then in June of this year, you opened up your own bakery in Pasquale's Express across from St. Mary's. So what was the thought around, what were you kind of going through at that time that you knew you were ready to do this?
I knew I've been ready for like the last year. I always thought it would be on my own. But running numbers in your head and seeing the expense of all of that and how scary it is to do that alone has always, it's not a good push for me, just because I know eventually we'll be there on our own and I wanted to do it on my own. But when this came about, it was a perfect opportunity. I couldn't say no. We're sharing costs. We're in a small building with low expense. We got cut our hours, each of us, so we're not open an extended amount of time. So it was a risk I was willing to take during the time. Especially we put in the walk-in window in the front so you can order from outside or you can come inside if you're comfortable. But I just think that how small it was and the location and just knowing we were splitting things was definitely like, this is a great stepping stone for me to have my own space eventually.
Yeah. Well, I think that's such a smart move too, because we oftentimes think that like we just need to go big.
Yeah.
And but that can be super risky too. So if something comes up that makes sense, that's maybe a little bit smaller than you initially thought, but makes financial sense and you can test things.
And I think that's the hugest thing is you got to be so financially smart in this game. It's like crazy. I mean, everything is not hundreds of dollars, it's thousands of dollars at a time, so it's not like, I'm going to do it and see how it works out. If it doesn't work out, you're kind of stuck because you're in a contract too, so there's just so much to think about when you're doing it. But I knew that it was going to be a good fit for me and what I'm looking for and how I'm starting. It's definitely not my end place. It's my start place. So
So can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how did you start out, and then what's it like now to kind of be responsible for other people?
So I started off with just myself and my mom. My mom has been huge help to me since I opened. She's been there, when we were moving stuff in. And my first employee was my nephew, who is 16. So he worked for me in the summertime, and he's still there just on Fridays and Saturdays now because he doesn't have school on Fridays. But it was just me and my mom, and I would get up and I'd come and bake everything and make sure everything was done, and then we'd help the customers, and I would stay late and work on cakes for the weekend or whatever orders were coming up. And it just got to be so overwhelming as the Post Bulletin came out and all the news articles came out. I mean, I was just blowing up with phone calls. Even today, I get at least 15 to 30 emails a day for orders for the week. And so I knew it was time to hire, but I wanted to wait to hire until I knew I could financially afford it and that we were going to consistently stay busy. It wouldn't be worth hiring someone if it's going to slow down and I can't afford to pay them.
Right.
So we hired Maria. She's awesome. She works at the front with us. And then Tara is my new cake decorator. She helps me decorate cakes and cookies for orders. And then her daughter, she helps come do the dishes and take care of the customers. So we got a total of 5 with my mom, Carter, and then those 3. So hopefully I'm going to add a couple more soon, especially during the holidays. I'm getting ready to.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Crazy holidays coming, so.
It's happening. It's going to be here faster than we all think. So I wanted to, circle back to, the bakery, the storefront, Sweet House Bakery. So when people visit you, what kind of experience do you want them to have? What kind of baked goods do you have in the store? What's your specialty?
We have, so my cinnamon rolls and pecan caramel rolls are my grandparents' recipe, so I grew up with, and they were famous for their cinnamon rolls, pecan rolls, and their biscuits and gravy. And so I knew my grandparents got sick a while back. They ended up passing a year ago, just a day or two apart. And but I wanted to master their recipes before they passed. So they helped teach me their cinnamon roll recipes, since I wanted to carry that on. And so those are huge sellers. I sell out every day. I have the cinnamon rolls, caramel rolls. And the Kinemans are a new pastry that here in Rochester doesn't sell. So we wanted to incorporate something new and fun. And my parents go to France a few times a year, I feel like, but probably once or every other year. But they fell in love with the Kineman there, the pastry, and they came back and they said that I had to master it, I had to make it, I had to sell it. And so we worked hard on that. And my Kineman cinnamon rolls sell like crazy. And we do the Kinemans, Nutella, classic, almond, and then right now we have a pumpkin cream cheese and a caramel apple for the season.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That sounds so delicious.
And we got buttermilk scones that are really good, different kinds of croissants, apple turnovers, we got donuts, and variety of things. I can't even think right now. We got macaroons, cupcakes, all kinds of sugar cookies, chocolate chip cookies, black and white cookies. But we always add things too. So we add things. We have biscottis we're adding this week, and depending on the day, we have more, never less, but sometimes more.
It's so nice and like meaningful that you can kind of carry on your grandparents' legacy with this, you know.
It's always been my dream. We do the hot breakfast too. So we do have the biscuits and gravy breakfast sandwiches on our homemade croissants, and then we have the quiches we make, individual quiches.
So what are the hours at the bakery? And then we talked about a little bit where people can find them if they can't make it in that time frame. But what time are you open on 2nd Street?
So I'm open Tuesday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 10:30, and then Saturdays from 7 to 10. And then anything that I don't sell, my pastries, if they don't sell in the morning, you can still buy them during the pizza hours when Pasquale opens. They're still out. And then also during that time, if you can't come and you wanted cupcakes or cookies and stuff, that still is out to purchase throughout the day.
So what is I'm sure there's no typical day, but what's a day like in your life? Like when, like you said, the bakery opens at 6. I'm assuming you're there like,
yeah,
I don't even know. What does your day look like, and how do you balance that with family?
Yeah, I get up around 12:30. I get to the bakery about 1. Start making my doughs. The dough's got to rise first, so I always whip the doughs up first, and while they're rising, I get the scones, the croissants, and just kind of do everything in an order now that I know is productive and fast. I only have one oven, so it's kind of the bummer right now in that space because I probably could get in a little later, but I have to wait till things are cooked to come out to change the temperature to, put new things in. But yeah, so I get there, I hustle and bake until about 5:30 is when my staff starts showing up. And I try so hard to get everything cleaned up before they get here and get the dishes done, but it just never happens. So I try to get as clean as possible for them so they can come into a clean slate, but thank God they're there to help me clean up. But yeah, we get everything cooked and baked by 5:30, 6, sometimes 6:15, depending on how far I'm pushing it in the oven. But then we're staying there all day until 10:30. We close down, and then I do my deliveries to the people I sell to here locally, and then I go home and I try to take about a 30-minute nap, and then that's it. I mean, my kids are home. We have a nanny now at home with us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because my kids are only in school Thursday, Friday. Mm-hmm. So normally she'll go home when I get there around 11:30. I'll take a nap, and then we get up and do lunch and get school done because we have got distant learning that we have to do, and then dinner and go to bed at 7 is about what we do.
Yeah. So we're cutting into your nap time.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine.
That's
I got to go home and actually do birthday stuff, so I wasn't planning on napping today anyways.
Yeah, that's a day. Like we're talking about, you opened in June in the bakery on 2nd Street. What does it feel like to you to see this happening, this accomplishment? Honestly,
it still doesn't feel real to me. It really doesn't. I feel like, and maybe it's because it doesn't feel like a job to me. I'm just so passionate and I love it so much that it just feels natural and it just feels right. And people come in and congratulate me and tell me I'm a boss now, and I'm like, what? Like I'm not a boss. And I'm like, wait, I am. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel real, honestly. I don't know if I've had time to think about it fully. It's happened so fast. When he brought this to me, we had 30 days. And so I had to make the decision. I said yes, and we just got everything in there and started. So it was like a super quick thing that happened. It wasn't a planned thing by any means. It was here's an opportunity. Do you want to take it, yes or no? Yes, okay, we're doing it now. And so even to this day, I still feel like I'm super, honestly, I'm proud and humbled and excited, but I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know how, it's just weird. I'm super excited and I'm so happy to do it. I feel like somebody needs to pinch me, like it's a dream come true, and I don't feel like it's real yet.
I feel like that's how things happen, though. It's just so fast, and just like make a decision, yes or no, and let's move forward.
Just
and
go
if not,
with your gut.
Yeah.
It's almost better because then you don't have time to think about it and dwell about it and, beat yourself up about it. But.
Yeah. Did you second guess yourself, or you're just like, nope, we're just moving forward with this?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I was ready.
Good.
I knew that, like I said, the space and the cost and everything was right where I needed it to be right now to start by myself without losing a ton of money if I had to. So, yeah, no, I didn't question it.
And so, you're opening up a bakery in a pandemic. What were some of the and by that point, businesses were open again, so it wasn't like it would have been in March. But what were some strategies that you had to do to get people in or to get in front of people during those first couple months?
Yeah, I think it was more of questioning, am I crossing the line trying to invite these people in? I want you to come in, I want you to see my product. Are you comfortable with it? And not knowing, everybody feels so different about this pandemic. Some people are glove, masks, full body suit. Some people are like, do I have to wear a mask? So it's more of trying to feel each person, make them feel comfortable, but yet still making the person behind them feel comfortable too. And I think that's what was hard, because when we first opened, we didn't open the front door. We just had the window, and we would get a line out there, and it's right where you drop off the buses too, right in front of St. Mary's, so people would be getting off the bus. So there's just crowds of people, kind of. I mean, not huge crowds, but a decent amount where people would probably feel uncomfortable. And it's just trying to figure out where to put them and not lose them, because this is too crowded of an area at this time to lose customers and stuff. But I think what we found is just making sure you smile and acknowledge your customers and let them know we'll be right with you, or offer them a sample or something to keep them there, to kind of be like, we'll be right with you. But it's just, and I think most customers now get that, where you have to be patient, you have to wait in line, you can't be barging in front of people, we can't have 30 people in the store looking around, So I think everybody kind of gets that now, but it was hard to manage at first. And then when we opened the door, it was, how do we manage the door and the window at the same time, and making sure everybody's out there sanitizing and cleaning, and but I don't know, it made it work. I think it's just the eye contact, the smile, we'll be right with you. And also, of course, the smell going out the door.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt. That does not hurt.
Definitely a benefit.
We were talking before we started how challenging small business ownership is, and how much work you put in. What kind of drives you to get up and continue to do this every day? What makes this worth it for you in the end?
Yeah, honestly, it's the satisfaction of pleasing other people. I've always been a people pleaser my whole life. I definitely care way more about what other people are feeling, probably more than myself. But I love the satisfaction of hearing someone bite into something. Oh my God, it's so good. I love that. It makes my day. It makes my day seeing people tell other people how good our product is, how friendly our staff is, and just what a fun environment it is. And I don't know, I love serving people and being part of the community. It's always been something that I've been driven to do and wanted to be a part of, so I'm happy that I can be now. I'm old enough to make those choices.
Yeah, well, I'm very excited to try the stuff that you brought us. I'm I'm so hungry right now.
Lunchtime.
I'm greatly looking forward to it, so thank you.
Yeah.
So I have some final questions for
Sure.
you, some fun questions that I've been asking everyone
Sure.
this year. I know you are a super busy lady, but what are you reading? Are you reading or listening to anything right now that you'd want to share?
Honestly, I wish I was. I honestly don't. And it's so sad because I used to wake up every morning and my husband and I would like read the same book or whatever, or we'd watch the news. And when I did daycare, I always got up at 4 so I could have an hour of peace by myself before the kids came. So it was kind of like my downtime. And now I honestly didn't even know there was a hurricane that happened until like a couple days ago. Like I don't even listen to the news.
Sometimes
I
that's a good
forget
thing.
sometimes to turn on the radio when I drive because it's just silence and it feels good. And I hope to be able to slow down soon where I can go back to those catching up on the world and just enjoying a good book. But honestly, I have nothing.
No,
If you want, I am reading How to Start Up Your Own Business. I'm still reading all about that stuff, about moving forward and if I'm doing things right. You know, I read those kind of things, but nothing interesting. I just wish I did, but I don't. I can't lie.
I think that is totally fair. What, during this process, like, what resources, whether it's, an individual, an organization, did you find useful that you think other people would find useful? And then what did you wish existed in the community that you couldn't find during this process?
Yeah, I think that probably everybody who's starting a business wish there was like literally a building that said startup business information where you can go in and be like, this is my plan. Give me all your resources you have to find these people, but it's not that simple. You get a runaround a lot where if you like go to the bank and I need this, and they're like, call this person, you call this person, oh, you need to call this person. I didn't have to find a ton of resources, thankfully, when we started here. And I think it was easier because he had a lot of resources, Pasquale did. So when we were in it, he already had those resources. So I'm learning about them now, opening. But I think the main resources that you need is the health department. I mean, and they'll tell you even like your structural problems or like who you need to contact for that and your licensing and stuff that you need, like if you're up to code, like all of that stuff. I think the health department is like the hugest part of the whole entire gig. And if you're interested in something, a building to lease or rent to own or whatever, the people who own those buildings or are leasing those buildings are huge resources too, because they've been in it for so long where they know who to contact and who you need to reach out to for getting it started.
Yeah, and I found the Department of Health to be very helpful. Sometimes
Yeah.
people are scared because it's,
Yeah.
a government entity, but at least in my experience, they want you to succeed.
Well, that's just it. And I think a lot of people are fearful because obviously they're going to penalize you and fine you or possibly shut you down if you're not following the rules or your cleanliness. But they're there for a reason, and they're only there to help. They want us to succeed. They want us to be. They don't want to see businesses fail. So they're a huge resource, and not just in the health department. And I think all aspects of Rochester, when you're opening a business, they can kind of guide you in the right direction of where you need to be.
Yeah. So my final question for you, where is your favorite place to be at in Rochester? Where
Oh my
do you
gosh,
like to spend
that's a
your
good
time?
question. Huh.
And home is acceptable.
Home is well, home would be priority. I mean, I love to be home. Before COVID, all this, my husband and I would love to go to theaters. We love a good movie, but we haven't been since COVID, unfortunately. I don't even know if the CMX is going to reopen. I'm kind of
I was wondering if they're open at all. I wasn't
So they're
even
not
sure.
right now,
Okay.
but I don't think they have plans on reopening, but they haven't announced it yet. So that's a bummer. That's kind of over where you live, Northwest. But I heard Warenberg opened back up.
Okay.
But, yeah, I guess we just like to hang out at home, and we like to go out for dinner every now and then and to a movie. We would not in Rochester hang out. If we're going to hang out, we're, like, going to go on vacation.
Yeah.
We're going to go out of state and go do something. But we like to camp locally and do all that kind of stuff with the kids. But we don't have a certain specific area that we hang out at. Just wherever there's people that we want to hang out with.
So I don't go to the movies that much, and I really wanted to go see Mulan in the theaters.
I want to see that so bad.
I was so disappointed. I mean, obviously, like, there were bigger issues.
I know.
But
They have it on Disney right now, I guess. Disney Plus.
Right, for like premiere subscribe. Like, I don't have that. So I got to wait until December.
I know. That's what we're waiting for, too. I know. I keep checking on it. My son does every day. He's like, I want to watch it. Because I love the cartoon growing up.
I did, too.
Oh, my God. I love it so
That
much.
was about, the
I know.
edge of my, cartoon watching with Disney was about
sure.
Mulan.
Yeah.
And it looked really good.
I
so.
know. They have Little Mermaid coming out, too.
Do they?
Yeah.
See, it's like, that was my era.
I know. I loved it. It's a real bummer. My husband's a movie junkie, which he made me into a movie junkie. So we watch movies.
Hey, I think you got to wind down some way. And that's a great way to do it. All right. So that was my final question. So I'll ask you for any final thoughts, and where can people find you in person and online? Yeah,
so in person, you can find me at the bakery, 1219 2nd Street Northwest. Looks like Pasquale's Express, but I am inside that building. Online is sweethousebakery.org, and that's where I ask people to submit their orders if they have them. I have an order form on there. Otherwise, Sweet House Bakery on Facebook and on Instagram.
So
yeah.
Well, I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The first in-person podcast I've done since the beginning of March, which is just so different. I'm like, this is amazing. This is why I like doing this.
Yeah, that's good.
Talk to a real person.
Yeah, I would rather do this than technology, Skype stuff. I don't have. I don't know if you'll figure it out.
Yeah, it just gets to be kind of like you're talking to a box.
Yeah,
and
sure.
You don't, But so I greatly appreciate you coming down here and spending your morning with us while you're, I don't know, evening.
Yeah, it's like dinner time, but no, it's fine.
So thanks so much for this conversation today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much to Jenyce for taking time out of her day to come down and talk with us and share her story for our podcast. I learned a lot from this conversation, and I hope you did as well. You can check out more information about Sweet House Bakery through the links in our show notes, and we have links to some other resources and entities that Jenyce talked about in our show notes as well. So check it out there for some more information. So just wanted to mention as well, we hope you all join us for our 10 a.m. Collider coffee break every Friday morning at 10 a.m., where we sit back and share with you what we've been working on in Collider this week so you can keep up with our projects, our programs, and the latest news. So we stream that every Friday at 10 a.m. on both our Collider and Rochester Rising YouTube and Facebook pages. So it's definitely been colder than normal in the upper Midwest, so it's a perfect time to get your cup of coffee, your hot cider, tea, whatever, and take just 10 minutes and listen into what we've been up to and might be something that can help you or something that you're interested in learning more about. So again, check it out every Friday at 10 a.m. on the Rochester Rising Facebook and YouTube pages. So we hope to see you then. So thanks for tuning into the podcast this week. It really helps us out if you make sure you're subscribed and like this podcast wherever you're listening in. Make sure you rate the podcast so that others can find it. And we'll see you here next week with a brand new episode.